All right, folks, today we're going to be introduced to dystopian fiction. The dystopian fiction is the types of stories that we will be reading. So I wanted to give you kind of just a little insight into what those stories may entail, as it is a particular genre of storytelling. Big things is there are two different kinds of these stories, and they are very much different sides of the same coin. We have a utopia and a dystopia. So one of the big things we want to be able to do is tell the difference. But specifically know what goes into a piece of dystopian fiction. And as dystopian fiction and utopian fiction both have their roots in our real world, I want you to be able to think about our real world, have perspectives and views of our real world that you're discussing and presenting in a mature and sensitive way. So those are our goals. So the big thing that we're going to start off with to understand the difference is some images of what a dystopia might look like. So taking a look at these images presented, your first question is, what do you think a dystopia might be? All right, from here, again, we're taking a look at another set of images, and the big thing to consider is how they contrast with the last set of images, but these present or potentially depict a utopia. So using the images below, what do you think a utopia might be? Explain. All right, so the definitions of each of these are: a dystopia is an imagined place or state in which everything is unpleasant or bad. There is a strict regime, meaning that there is a ruler at the head of this utopian or dystopian world that is controlling everything, and they have rules and systems by which people need to abide by. The society is oppressed, meaning that the people are lacking in choices, lacking in options, lacking in resources. And finally, it is a place where people are controlled or treated unfairly, meaning that, again, all of these stem from one another, but they are treated poorly based on the rules and resources of the regime, of the ruling party. A utopia is the exact opposite, a place or state where things are perfect, a peaceful world, a happy and cared for society whose needs and resources are met. And then finally, a place where people are listened to, their best interests and well-beings are acted on. All right, dystopian worlds are a common setting for modern fiction. In fact, much more common than a utopian, because all stories kind of revolve around conflict, and utopian stories are often lacking in conflict, unless you find that the perfect world presented is less than perfect. So some of the conventions that you will see, usually society is ruled by violence. Perhaps it is a police state in which if people are out of line, they are either injured or killed. As a result, people live in fear of this government. They are constantly watched and monitored. They are encouraged to think a particular way, believe in a particular thing as presented by the government, and outside thoughts are restricted, if not monitored. Human actions more than likely have destroyed the world or created some imperfect version of the world, whether that is something that was created in a lab, whether that was a war or some sort of explosion. But it's usually the world that these characters live in is a dark, grim, and usually destroyed one. Finally, the society and the government in particular wants to present that they are creating a perfect world, but it is usually quite the opposite. All right. Finally, some key things that you want to answer in review. What is a dystopia? If you had to put that in your own words, what are the conventions? Obviously, what are the kind of different details? And then what do you think? This is very much an opinion. What do you think it would be like to live in a dystopian world? So take a look at these questions. At least three sentences for your three answers, and interested in seeing what you have to say.